try!
Last game in his professional career.
Stephen, how many press conferences do you think you still have in you?
Well, maybe just the one, mate, so we'll see how we go. Look, it's been a good week so far, and I'm just trying to prepare as best I can for the test on the weekend. It's a big game for the team, so they're always in these type of weeks when there's a personal milestone for someone, it can be a distraction, and you just got to make sure you stay focused on what the job is.
Professional sports people speak about moments when they know that the time is up. Obviously, you're not taking up that off with the Reds next year. Was there a moment that you decided to call it through?
I think it was a combination of things. I've been obviously looking at what I was going to do after rugby and what that looked like, and that probably came forward about 6 months from what I thought. So I had to make a decision then. Did I want to keep playing rugby? And there was an opportunity to maybe do a bit of both. But when I spoke to Brad Thorne about it, we decided that it was just best to finish up this year. And I think that's the absolute best decision for myself and also for the team. Now the Reds can move forward next year, and they've got a good young squad there that Brad can start to work hard with.
What is it that you are going to be doing next year?
I'm not sure just yet, so I'm just sort of discussing that at the moment and working it all out. So I'll be able to talk a little bit about that in a little while.
You got any family coming over to talk?
Yeah, I've got my wife and 3 kids here, and a few of my extended family are coming across from Ireland on the weekend as well. So there'll be a few there in the stands, so that'll be nice.
Did you have to consult with other people who've retired? Some people don't like to retire immediately; they want to go down the levels. Did you talk to them who've retired the last couple of years?
Yeah, I did actually. I talked to a lot of people about a lot of different things, and that was certainly one of them. People like David Giffen would be someone who played a lot of games for Australia and the Brumbies, who I spoke to about it, and he gave me some great advice. He's obviously been down that path, and you really take that on board because some of those type of people have transitioned into really successful careers after rugby, and I really do feel like you can leave that too long as well. Like that's a new process, a new environment. It's going to be a lot of learning, so you need to pick when the time is right to start your next phase of your life. So, and I feel like I've tried to do that.
And obviously, whatever it is you're going to do, you feel like you need to get 100% commitment to it straight away, not just build up to it.
Yeah, that's right. And even with the Wallabies, you want to be doing everything if you can, and you can get through seasons and games being managed and things like that. But particularly as a leader, I think it's really important that you actually get out there and are able to do what you're asking of your teammates. And when you can't do that, then I think it's absolutely the right time.
How would you back that you could have probably stand out?
Well, I actually played my first starting game here in Edinburgh, in Murrayfield, 2006. So, 11 years ago now. So that was, obviously that's a great occasion. And look, any of the milestone games, finals and things like that are pretty big games. And I've been fortunate to be involved in a few of those, and you do remember those things. But I think I said to someone yesterday, the people that you meet along the way are really what you remember, and I think that's what I'll carry with me going forward. The friendships I've made, not just from my own teammates, but from teammates from other teams and other countries, and that stuff I think is what makes rugby special.
That first start, what were you thinking and what were your ambitions?
Well, I hadn't been in that role before, so it was very new to me. I was pretty nervous, I think, and it was pretty ordinary conditions. I think it was pretty windy and wet, and I think Knuckles, John Connolly, who was the coach at the time, he was probably going to replace me at half time. I don't think the line-out went too well in the first half, but we sort of sorted things out and ended up having a good win and scored a try, which was great. So it was a good day all round, I think, and that was obviously my first start, but my first experience of an atmosphere like that, starting a game, with the noise and how passionate everyone is over here about their team, and that was something I've really enjoyed. In the subsequent years, that's something I've always enjoyed being part of. Yeah, I guess there is a little bit of connection there, but it's a lot's happened between then and now. So this is a completely new group. I don't think there's any players still around from that time. Actually, Steve Larkham, one of the coaches, was playing in that game, but not too many players left.
As you said, 11 years is a long period your style of play changed beyond all recognition from that first cap? Or?
Not really. I think you probably, as a front rower, as a hooker particularly, you got some pretty specific jobs in the scrum, and at test level, as long as I've been playing, the set piece has been a very important part of these games particularly. So that stuff is what you try and base your game around. Yeah, that's the bread and butter, as they say. So I've really tried to work hard on that throughout my career and make sure that has been a really solid part of my game. So.
What about the game itself? Is it much different from 11 years ago at test level?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's much quicker. It's more physical. Everyone's faster. People have worked out the game. I think defences have become really well organised, and you've seen defence coaches coming in and having a big influence on teams, and just the collisions now, the impact in the game has probably gone up a couple of levels since I started, but there's probably not as much space on the field that there used to be, and that's why the onus on the attack to be very accurate, to create space.
Cool. Reactions have you had from your teammates as you said, from the last game?
Look, I think pretty supportive. I didn't want to be like having all these farewell tours, that's not something I'm really big on, but you have to do it at some point, and I was really keen to do it before it obviously became public, and so I told the players on Sunday night that it would be happening, and just get into the week now and get going.
How important is this match, having one win and then a disappointing defeat, and kind of it'll be the difference between a winning or losing record heading back home after this weekend?
Yeah, it's a big game, no doubt, and I think these two teams have been very evenly matched over quite a period of time now. So obviously Scotland beat us in Australia early in the year, so we know they're a quality team. I think they've probably profited a lot from playing together a lot. Their players domestically playing together quite a bit with Edinburgh and Glasgow, and they've worked really hard on creating those connections. So there's absolutely no doubt that that's helped the national team, and now they've got some continuity of their coaching as well through that. So I think they've been really smart around their high performance and how they've addressed, that and planned really well. So they've got some absolutely quality players, and we know it's going to be another really tough test match for us.
Steve, clearly Jordan's the future of Australian rugby. He's just signed in New Zealand. Are there any traits that you see of him in a young Stephen Moore once upon a time?
He's got hair, I suppose. That's probably the main difference at the moment. But look, I think he's a big body, and that's really important at this level in the front row. I think that's a real quality that he can make an advantage for him. Look at someone like him. He reminds me of someone like a Bismarck Duplessis, or even like a Malcolm Marx. Just big guys, So he can use that to his advantage if he works hard on that area of his game, and that'll help his set piece to be strong. And obviously he's a very talented footballer. We've seen that already this year. So I think that the challenge for anyone in that position is now going back and working even harder to become better, and then eventually playing regularly Super Rugby and then regular Test matches, and that's going to be his goal now. So I'm looking forward to seeing him achieve that.
How big a role do you think Jordan can play looking ahead to the 2009 World Cup?
Yep. Yeah, look, I think it's going to be a big role, no doubt. I think you'll see him probably playing a little bit more Test rugby next year, but I think we forget he hasn't actually played that much Super Rugby, so that'll probably be his first goal, is to have a good, strong season of Super Rugby, and then whatever happens beyond that will take care of itself. And I think probably Tolu Latu is another guy who you can't discount in that space. He's probably had his challenges this year, but I think if he can sort that out, then he's got a lot of ability.
Presumably your teammates are not necessarily will be anxious you don't go out on the loan if you do finish with a win.
Well, look, you'd have to talk to them about that. I don't know if that's how they feel, but I think for me personally, I just want this team to do well, and finish the season well. You always carry the last result with you into your holidays and all that sort of stuff. So it's a big game, and I think not for me personally, but I think everyone's aware of that within the group. For this team, it's the last time we're going to play together.
Would you be comfortable with that if the players said let's do it for
Oh, look, anything that's going to motivate anyone, you know, personally is good. You know, people are motivated by a bunch of different things, so whatever works.
Steve, can you talk us through your first test try against Scotland?
Uh,
How did you get what it
you probably know more about it than I do, Jimmy, but I think it was Gitz was playing halfback, if I remember, that day, which was unusual. I think he only played a handful of tests at halfback, and I think he just scooted out from a ruck, and I just happened to be near the line and just got it over. So I can't say it was from any distance out or anything like that. It was a reasonably short range, but they all count the same, I suppose.
Can you recall any interaction with any of the Scottish front rowers after that test? Being your first one, or any altercations in the maybe?
Not really, no. I think I can't even remember really who was. I think Ross Ford was probably playing back then. I think he was around that time as well. So we've sort of, our careers have almost been sort of in parallel, I suppose. We're roughly the same age, so I think he was out there. So that was, but yeah, it was even the scrums. You know, they're very different back then. Not, you know, that time to what they are now. They've changed again. So if you watch the footage from those games, you'll notice a real difference around the scrum.
You played at a period then when I guess there's a separation between the top teams and the next teams. Have you seen a time in World Rugby where it's closer at the top as many teams as there are that can knock off the others? Like we had Scotland getting very close to the All Blacks on the weekend. England are obviously in a good spot at the moment.
Yeah.
Have you seen it in your career where it's been so tight at the top?
I think everyone's really come up to a certain level now. You know, there's a group of teams now in that tier one group that are really able to knock each other off at any time. You know, so I think results have shown that. So I think someone was saying the other day that Australia in the next, between now and the World Cup, are only going to be playing against top 5 nations. So that's a pretty, you know, there's not too many test matches that aren't against top opposition, and you need to be right on your game every single test, you know, to get yourself up those rankings, you know. So and I suppose that's why New Zealand have been at the top, because they've done that.
Are there any scars from that test against Scotland in June?
Oh, not really. I think, you know, we know that Scotland are a very good team, and we have a lot of respect for them. So, as I said before, you only have to look at the previous games to know that it's been very close. You know, it could have gone either way in a bunch of those games. So, you know, like I said, we prepare accordingly to go out and play against a very good team in their backyard. So, you know, we know it's going to be tough.
Can you recall I don't know what the right word is, anger or disappointment in the Scots when they lost the World Cup knockout game for you guys?
Well, I imagine, as anyone would have been, they were pretty shattered to exit at that time. We would have been the same, so that's pretty normal. You know, but at that time, we had to get on with the next game. You know, that was all happening pretty quickly, so didn't have too much time to think about it.